Hello everyone. Your dream cruise vacation can turn into a nightmare in a second. You could make a mistake on a port day that prevents you from getting back on the ship. In fact, you might even be at risk of never stepping onto a cruise ship again. Today, I'm going to tell you about the secret rules of cruise excursions and the biggest mistakes people make. These mistakes can cost you money and even your freedom. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look out for after you disembark. Don't skip a beat because the biggest and most dangerous mistake is waiting for you at the end. Anyone who has been on a cruise or is thinking of going on one needs to watch this video. Cruise ships are like luxurious floating cities in the middle of the ocean. But these cities have strict rules that apply when you go ashore. What happens if you forget your passport? What are the penalties if you miss the ship's departure time? What items should you not have with you that can get you into trouble? In this video, I will answer these questions and tell you about the 5 big mistakes and solutions you need to know to make your cruise go smoothly. If you're ready, let's get started. Mistake 1. Forgetting your passport and ship card. The first, and perhaps most basic, mistake is not taking your passport and ship card with you when you go ashore. You might think, but we're already at the port, why do I need them? And that's exactly where you're wrong. The moment you leave the port, you are actually entering the borders of a different country. Your ship card is your identity on the ship, and you cannot get back on the ship without it. Your passport shows that you have legally entered and exited that country. What happens? A passenger forgot his ship card and wandered a little way from the port. When he returned to the ship, the officer at the gate stopped him. The officer said, "If you don't have your card, we can't let you on the ship for security reasons." The person suddenly realized that the ship was his only place to be, even in the middle of the ocean. He panicked and tried to reach the ship's security office. But the officer couldn't help him because he couldn't prove his identity. He was eventually able to prove his identity and get back on the ship. But if he had been a few minutes later, the ship would have sailed away. Solution: when you go ashore, always carry your ship card and a photocopy of your passport with you. It's even better to have the passport itself with you, as some countries may do an identity check. This is the simplest step you can take to prevent your vacation from turning into a nightmare. Mistake 2. Missing the ship's departure time. Not knowing exactly when the ship will depart from port or not caring about it. This is one of the most classic mistakes made by cruise ship passengers. Although the ship authorities announce the departure time repeatedly, you can get caught up in shopping, sightseeing, or eating and forget the time. What happens? A family was sitting in a restaurant in Rome until the last minute to catch the departing ship. They chatted for hours. When they looked at their watches, they realized that there were only 15 minutes left until the ship's departure. When they ran to the port, they saw that the ship had already untied its ropes and was starting to move away. What happened? The ship didn't wait for them. The family was stranded at the port and had to make their own way to the next port. This is not only a huge disappointment, but also a huge financial loss. Solution: when you go ashore, be sure to plan your return time to the ship to be at least 30-45 minutes before the departure. Write down the departure time on your ship card or on the port information boards and set an alarm. The ship won't wait for you. Mistake 3. Using the wrong currency and getting scammed. The local currency is not always used at the port you disembark at. Many tourists are either overcharged or scammed because they don't know this. You might think, well, dollars or euros are probably accepted. Yes, they are in most places. But the exchange rate offered by local vendors can empty your wallet. What happens? A passenger who disembarked in Mexico wanted to buy some souvenirs from a local market. He only had dollars with him. The vendor quoted the prices of the items in Mexican pesos. The passenger miscalculated when converting the price to dollars and ended up paying $50 for an item that was actually worth $10. Solution: research the currency of the port you're disembarking at in advance. It's best to have local currency with you. If you are going to exchange currency, do it inside the port or at a reputable bank. Never trust street vendors or strangers. Mistake 4. Falling for tourist traps and neglecting security. Every port you arrive at by ship is a city, and just like every city, port areas are full of traps for tourists. Taxi scammers, fake tour guides, and pickpockets await newly arrived visitors. What happens? A couple who disembarked at the port of Paris believed someone who introduced themselves as an official tour guide. This person told them that they would tour the city cheaply and took them to a remote corner of the city and ran away with their bag. This is not only a loss of money, but it can also be the worst memory of your vacation. Solution: organize your tours through the ship's own official tours or choose reputable, well-known tour companies. When you get into a cab, ask them to turn on the meter. Pay extra attention to your wallet and phone in crowded places. Never put your safety second. Mistake 5. Having the wrong visa and documents. This is perhaps the most dangerous and shocking mistake. You may have a Schengen visa, but the ship may be taking you to a non-Schengen port. Having the wrong documents can not only cause you to be stranded at that port, but can also lead to international travel bans. What happens? A passenger traveling in the Caribbean did not know that an island the ship was visiting required a special visa or document for entry into that country. The port authorities refused to let him off the ship, because this person would be considered to have entered the country illegally. The result? That passenger could not visit that island and had to stay on the ship all day. Worse yet, the names of those who try to go ashore in ports where they don't have a visa can be blacklisted by international authorities. Solution: before you buy your cruise ticket, be sure to check the visa requirements of every port on the itinerary. Ask your cruise line for help with this. One of the biggest advantages of a cruise is that it handles most of the visa issues, but this may not always be the case. So, these are the biggest and most dangerous mistakes made when going ashore on a cruise ship. In short, never forget your passport and ship card. Don't miss the ship's departure time. Be careful with currency. Be aware of tourist traps, and research the visa rules of each port in advance. A cruise ship offers you an unforgettable experience, but you have to follow these rules so that this experience does not end badly. Remember, the huge engines of that giant ship were not designed to wait for you. So, have you been on a cruise? Or are you thinking about it? What do you think of what you learned from this video? Don't forget to share your thoughts with me in the comments. To be notified of new videos, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications. See you in the next video. Take care.